Welcome into 11 Personnel presented by Monticello Bank. I'm Nick Roush. He's Adam Luckett. And Monticello Bank is where people matter. They've been in business around the Commonwealth for more than 120 years, serving the community, making sure that Kentuckians get the best rates possible, whether you're just got a little personal bankroll you're trying to handle, whether you need to buy a new car, mortgage a house, unlock the home equity with a line of credit, whatever it may be. Monticello Bank has taken care of you for 120 years. They're going to be here for 120 more. That's the Nick Roush guarantee. Monticello Bank, NBCBank.com. Monticello Bank, where people matter. Member FDIC, equal housing lender, and proud presenting sponsors of 11 Personnel. We're going to start this show like we always do with breaking news. The light has been fixed outside of Sir Pizza. We are no longer doing 11 Personnel with a strobe light in the background. It's almost like they were waiting for you to not show up to podcast on a Wednesday to fix the light.
They headed up. Took heed of our call. Finally, our light can finally just have some peace and quiet. It's been going through hell for weeks. And finally just have a relaxing night looking upon the Sir Pizza parking lot.
Finally. We got it fixed. We're taken care of. We're going to have a normal night where we actually get to talk football. We're not going to spend our whole time talking Mark Stoops, coaching carousel, coaching search. But it's definitely going to be a part of the discussion tonight after the win at Auburn. But look at first. The actual breaking news, the reason why we start these a little bit later than 8 p.m. is because we didn't want to be sitting around twiddling our thumbs when we had to type up the availability report real quick. And this week's a doozy. I did not tabulate. I mean, it looked like Florida had about 15 players out.
They've had a lot out here recently, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we learned about Dallas Wilson's absence, I think, on Sunday, that he'd be out for the rest of the year. He was the freshman who was just an ass kicker against Texas. But the big one, and now I wasn't watching this live, so I don't know when it happened or not, but Eugene Wilson III, they call him Trey. Trey Wilson is pretty much their best player, their best wide receiver. He's out. And if he's not their best one, then Vernell Brown would be considered their best receiver. Oh, and he's also questionable, which is 50-50 shot. And I don't know what Adam Mizell's stats have been this year, but he's pretty darn good too. The greatest strength of this Florida team, outside of the outstanding running back in Jaden Ball, they are banged up in a bad way, Mr. Luckett.
Yeah, and Trey Wilson was a guy that interim head coach Billy Gonzalez said they were going to feature when he took over. And he went for 9 for 121 against Georgia last week.
Scored a tutty.
And he's out. So along with Dallas Wilson's out. Vernell Brown's their leading receiver, a true freshman. So we'll see his status. And then they'll have J. Michael Sturdivant, who's been a multi-time transfer, spent time at Cal and UCLA. He'll be available. But yeah, that's a blow, I think, to Florida in this passing game, which has struggled to this point this season, Nick. And it looks like Kentucky might, don't want to put the cart before the horse, but looks like DJ Waller might finally return this week. Listed as probable. That means it's trending in the right direction. So Florida in total, Nick, they've got 13 scholarship players listed as out and then 3 questionable that could probably go either way. So, yeah, there's been a lot of complaints in the last couple of years about why is Kentucky always the more banged-up football team on these availability reports. That's not the case this week.
Yeah, which feels – you're right. I mean, and that is a very much singular sort of idea, this – it's always us. We're always snake bit. I feel like people would always say that during training camp. It's like, no. You probably just aren't paying us close attention. The availability reports help quantify it. And I know they don't put starter next to their name. I think that would be more beneficial to a lot of folks as well. But it still was jarring just to see how many people were on that Florida injury report. And The other, you mentioned that Florida's passing game has struggled. Yes, but when you had those guys, it's a consistency thing with them. They've always come up with some explosive plays, and that was the case when we saw DJ Lagway have his coming out party against Kentucky a year ago. Duke completed 7 passes for 259. I knew it was crazy, and then when I went back to look up the stats today, I was like
wasn't he like 7 for 17?
I think it was 7 for 21 or something. Like it was
every completion was just a bomb over top, and I was like, I don't think he's completed a pass under like 20 air yards. It's all just bombs. I felt like he hit like 3 skinny posts for 50, 60 yards in that game.
Deep over or something. I mean, and what was crazier too is Kentucky tackled him on every one. He didn't throw a touchdown, but then they turned around and handed to Baugh, who that was his first start. He was a true freshman a year ago, and
4 touchdowns. Yeah,
4 touchdowns, which takes me back to, oh man, what's his name? He wore number 5, I think, for them, and had 4 touchdowns against us. He tied
Trey Burton, number 8.
Trey Burton, yeah. So he tied the Trey Burton record that was set against Kentucky, and he's been awesome ever since. Mark Stoops has said this. Brad White reiterated it tonight. They believe Jaden Ball is the best running back in the SEC. Do you concur, Mr. Luckett? Is Jaden Ball the best running back in the SEC?
He's up there. I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
Because I think Bishop was leading the league in rushing for a little bit.
No, Ahmad Hardy's the best back in the SEC.
Yes, I think from when they say the most complete, like Ahmad Hardy is more reliable.
They're like the same play style. Ball breaks a lot of tackles. So, like, to me, when defensive coaches say that, a lot of times it's just like, all right, which SOB is hard to tackle here, whether it's through contact or how they set up runs. So I would say Hardy, but Ball's in the conversation 100%.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons why you might say, well, you got to consider Ball is because of his big play making potential. But that's the thing about Florida, though. They haven't scored a ton of points this year because they are –
and they haven't really been explosive either. That's kind of been the because when you look at it, you think, oh, they got these receivers. They got really good running back. Lagway can throw bombs, but they're sub 100 and 20-plus yard plays. So in a lot of these explosive play metrics, they're really bad. And then their average starting field position, Nick, is really, really bad. So in some ways, the matchup is very similar to last week. Florida, I think, is a little better on offense, but I don't think it's a lot better. And they're not as good on defense. And they're going to play a similar style of game, I think. So I think it aligns well with what Kentucky wants to do in this football game.
Well, and the other part, too, that makes it similar is you just look at the roster and you say, man, they got some dudes, right? Like, they got some dudes, but they didn't have a coach who could figure it out. And it brings us back to what we discussed before the season, how – you don't know where these teams are going to be by the time you get to them the schedule. They could be vulnerable. One of those coaches got fired after you played him last weekend and beat him. And this one, even though he won his last game as head coach, couldn't survive to take on Georgia. No Billy Napier coming back to play Kentucky, which if it weren't for last year, Luckett, he could have been a perfect defeated, right? Like – He was almost there. I guess we got to say that Billy Napier's our favorite Florida football coach.
Yeah, I think if you're a Kentucky fan, he's probably it. I mean, they beat Mullen
twice,
2-2. So
yeah,
I guess you would have to say that.
I can't remember the quote, but Andy Staples and our friend Nick Delatorre would always bring it up that there's some quote that Dan Mullen had after that Kentucky game that was the moment when everybody knew, like, oh God, this isn't going to last, is it? I wish I could. It was almost like the antithesis of they got
time
a good
of
punter.
Possession. We outgained. It was the outgained them quote.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, because that was the Pascal block field goal, Trevin Wallace. Correct. Yeah, it's very similar to Bill Self's "we just ran out of time" quote. you lost. You lost bad. Which, by the way, I just mentioned that after you watch us and hang out with us, the Detroit Lions did a 30-minute documentary for Crucial Catch Month in the NFL where they detailed Josh Pascal's fight against cancer, his victory, his W, and it's incredibly well done. They were here over the summer, filmed a bunch of stuff in Lexington. Pretty great watch, and stirred up some of those old emotions too. So if you're looking for some good, wholesome Kentucky football content, that's also out there right now on the Detroit Lions YouTube channels. So go check that out after you watch us. I got away from things there for a minute. So Luckett, I feel like I did a poor job of hosting where it's like I could bleed out a lot of conversation. Instead, I just got like excited and talked really, really fast. So I said a lot of things really, really fast. Is there anything you want to dissect, pick apart, pull apart, and say, all right, hold on now, Roush. We gotta beat this horse here for a minute.
Yeah, I brought this up on Rapid Reaction. I know there's a lot of feelings about Mark Stoops and this football program in the fan base right now, but I do think you really have to tip your cap to them.
Mm-hmm.
And they did it their way. Again. Right. They did it their way. And I think they're probably going to win I'm probably going to pick them this week. I don't feel as confident, I would say, in picking them this week, but I think the matchup kind of lines up well with them, and they're probably going to do it their way and win kind of playing their style of football. So you have to tip them their cap. I think a big part of all of this going into the year, and just I'm trying to take away some context here, but a big part of all of this was, all right, we've got to build a team that won't let go of the rope.
Yes.
And that could stay in the fight so we can win some games in November after this brutal October.
It was Brad White went on ad nauseum about coaching toughness and how to overcome adversity during Kentucky Football Media Day. And they've kind of done that.
And he's had that, yeah. And so I think he's had that speech, I feel like, a couple times in the season.
Mm-hmm.
So they did that. Now they have an opportunity. I think you really have to tip your cap to them for winning that game. Everyone was out. Everyone thought it was the end. A lot of people, thought it was the end, that game.
Yeah.
And they made it happen. Now, with that said, now they're going into a game where this is where they fumbled it for the last
3 years, 4 years.
3-4 years, since 2022, really.
Mm-hmm.
They've only won a consecutive power conference games once, Nick, in that time. I think it was Vanderbilt and Florida back-to-back in 23. Other than that, they would win a game and then they would drop one. And I think last year's a perfect example. Win that Ole Miss game, you got some momentum, got a chance to go do something. You make 1,000 mistakes in a very winnable game at home against Vanderbilt, and then the season falls apart. So this has been where they have fumbled it in the past. So let's see what they do. But I think you really have to commend them for winning that game. And now they have an opportunity, and now they have a path to. I mean, let's say it. They've got a path to 6-6 now. It's there if they can go grab it.
Which is wild to say at the start of this month when things look so. Look so bad at the beginning of October,
I said this on KS Board this week. It's a lesson for all of us that this is college football. And it's a lesson for all of us that we should all know better because we know how dumb this sport is.
I mean,
we know the swings in this sport. And, the swings go both ways. You can ride a swing to great heights, or you can ride a swing to terrible, downtrodden, no good lows. And so they've got a chance here now that they've kind of survived the storm to ride a swing. Now, will it be good enough for there not to be a separation? Because that's what everyone's talking about. We'll see. But they've at least they've given themselves an opportunity. And that, I think, when everyone was counting them out. And for that, I think you have to tip your cap.
And they did it while discarding 6 different scripts, that we mentioned previously. I wanted to bring up too you talked about the wild swings. I listen to a lot of people talk. I don't know who it was. It might have been Stanford Steve, who had Clemson versus Penn State in the national championship game in the preseason. And, things aren't going well for you. I think both have a losing record now.
Both might not make a bowl game.
Yeah, I mean, South Carolina was a preseason top 15 team. They just fired their offensive coordinator. They're 3-5, and they're almost
3-6.
3-6.
They're a loss away from not making a bowl game.
Yeah, which is very, very much on the table. And hell, even that G5 game for them looks very tough. So it can go down the poop chute in a hurry, as it happened last year. But to your point about giving them credit, is that there was I have a column that went unpublished about me being like, will you stop saying they're getting better? Will you stop saying that like they're not quitting and going back to work? Like I don't want to hear it, even if it is right. And it's like, well, it's probably right. It was right. Like they had been getting better. It finally manifested in a win. And David Goose has said today, practice is a little bit more fun this week, but credit to our guys who have just kept showing up week after week. And that's why I think that the point Matt made was right on the money. We were listening to it on the way to Mark Stoops' press conference on Monday, where it feels like there's a whole lot riding on this game Saturday, right? Because you can believe in you can believe in something if they can give you another reason to, right? Like Auburn was okay, we like it, this is good, but you weren't convincing a whole lot of people. Maybe like one of the callers on the postgame shows, a guy I went to UK with, and he's like, I'm all the way back. He was down at the game. And it's a little bit different there. That will matter to the people that show up in that stadium. Like if you're there and you're kicking Florida's ass again,
logo win. Yeah.
That
doesn't matter who's wearing those Florida jerseys. It hits the feels a little different.
Yeah. And on top of it all, it makes it much more realistic to put yourself in a scenario where you're saying, I'll be damned. They did the impossible, right? Inconceivable.
First things first, no matter who the coach is next year, they don't need to have this SEC losing streak hanging over everyone's head, right?
Correct. Similar to the streaks that Stoops inherited.
No matter what happens these last 3 games, they need to end this Saturday. Like it needs to end for everyone's sake.
Yeah.
Just that needs to end. Now, if they lose Saturday, it's hard to envision how you
move forward. Right.
Let's run it back.
Yeah.
It's hard to envision that. And then
losing to an interim coach without half its players,
Yeah, and I think it would be a step in the right direction, I think, for if the plan is to run it back. I still don't think it would be the final step.
Okay. So let's talk about pragmatically on the field, and then let's talk about what would have to happen off the field too, because changes will be made in some form or fashion. The continuity card can't be played again. But first, let's do on the field. All right.
Well, first, I want to say this.
Okay.
You mentioned how big a game this is.
Yes.
Why is there not a push to get fans in the seats?
Because they don't do that like it. Like, honestly, do you know what the push was too? It might even be worse. It was Stoops passive aggressively mentioning how great the atmosphere was at Auburn. Despite the bad season, it was a great environment. And, I don't know if everybody was picking up what he was putting down, but it certainly felt like a passive aggressive, come on, guys, come on out here.
Yeah, that makes me do the Windhorse thing. Like, okay, what's going on here? Why?
maybe you don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. It's kind of, I mean, that's the only logical explanation besides they just don't do that anymore. You know? I mean, Craig Skinner got in a damn table at a press conference and was
everyone
asking
else that I would assume in the athletic department does it. Baseball will do it when they have a big series. It's a big game. It's the last game of the year, right? Like home, big game.
Right.
Night kickoff. The weather is not going to be bad. Like it's a chilly November night, but you're not going to go to the game and freeze your tail off.
Right. Bundle up. Have a good time.
Bring a blanket. You'll bring a blanket. You're going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
I just, I don't know. I just don't understand that. I really don't. I just very confused by that. I don't know why that is the case. So that makes me think out loud. Now, what was your point? I can't remember. I just I think that needed to be said.
Okay. All right. I'm glad you said it. And let's not do we know the winning games thing. That conversation's been had. Let's do the off the field. For all intents and purposes, let's say Kentucky finishes 6-6. What has to happen aside from that off the field to convince people that he's good to go? Back in the South is in the chat. Big fan of him on the Twitters. I think he might be on KS Board. If you're not on KS Board yet, back in the South, come on, dude. Promo code UK1. Get 2 months. It's going to be a busy 2 months. Just hop on KS Board. Join the conversation there. See you on Twitter all the time. Just come on over there. He said it's only reasonable for him to be back if they go 6-6 and Cutter and those young wide receivers still look good. All right. I mean, that feels like a given. The bigger part for me is some of the other stuff. It's what you just mentioned, right? Like we have to be active in the public and we have to try to get people to like us. Like there has to be some sort of transparency here. And I think the biggest one for me is structurally, organizationally, we were told ahead of last offseason that there was going to be significant structural organizational changes. That was relayed to us behind closed doors. For all intents and purposes, none of that happened. And if it did, it was not articulated publicly. Stoops just went on and basically reluctantly told Matt that Eddie Grant's his GM. Right? And that's Eddie Grant's a great fundraiser. He's a great resource for Mark Stoops. He is not a general manager. I think when we were talking, you mentioned Champ Kelly. He's kind of almost like hitting his head on the glass ceiling. Like he keeps being like second in command of all these GMs.
Yeah, we'll see if he gets this Dolphins job, but yeah.
Yeah, but like go hire his ass to run your front office and like make it like a true front office. Yes, you can give Mark Stoops some sort of veto power, but like make it a true front office because that is like honestly like it's clear that they figured out some stuff in the high school ranks with these freshmen, with these young players. Like they got something there. But portal wise, they are just wasting way too many resources to be consistent. And that is really, I think, the biggest reason for why we got here.
Yeah, and like I think they got some good players in this 26 class, but like that class is not good enough.
Right. Like I think you said it's on pace to be the worst recruiting class.
It'll be the lowest ranked. Now, how that ends up, I think they have some good players, but they've got one offensive lineman. They're offering junior college offensive linemen and defensive linemen.
It's not going to cut it.
I don't understand why you think. I would like that explained to me. Like why is that a fruitful strategy in 2025? Because it doesn't make much sense to me on the surface when you can go out and just get some guy who kicked ass in the MAC or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Or wherever.
And the other part too is when was the last time you saw a successful JUCO story? I mean, I
I think the point would be like, oh, we can have him for multiple years, so it's just a way for us to cover our ass because we missed a high school, because we didn't get a high schooler, I guess.
But the last one they got like
or we
that.
Can't keep high schoolers in to develop them year by year.
The last guys that got here transferred out without ever playing.
But yeah, like junior college recruiting is not something you're seeing SEC schools do or Big Ten schools do.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a head scratcher to me, that going on. And so like recruiting needs, an uptick. We'll see. Overall, last year in the portal, I think you have to say they did a good job. Like, I think you have to almost give them a B. Like,
yeah, you got to give them above a passing grade, right?
Yeah, for sure. I was skeptical of this offensive line experiment. I was pretty critical. I've made not that they went and did that process can work. Now it worked this year, so you have to, say good job. But they're gonna have to do it again next year. So you can't be in this cycle every year. You eventually have to get out of it. Yep. And so that's when I think, eventually if you keep going to the craps table, eventually that chip is going to go to the house.
You can't play pass line all night.
So I have concerns about that moving forward. I
have concerns about the coaching staff ad nauseum.
Well, the biggest issue that I see, because if you bring Stoops back next year, you're very much just running it back. The hot seat year is back, right? Like, it's a hot seat year. But you're going to have to – your defensive coordinator, your defensive line coach, your linebackers coach, your two secondary coaches, your tight ends coach, I think that's in your running backs coach.
Yep.
They don't have deals after this year. That's 7, I think. 7 guys
out of 10.
And one is your highest paid staffer, Brad White. You're going to have to resign. And they're not signing 1-year deals. You're going to have to sign them to multi-year deals. And coordinators' deals typically run for 3 years. So, like, if you do run it back, even if you say, Stoops, you got to make some staff changes or whatever.
Right.
However that falls.
Phrase. Yeah.
You still got to, put some money down. So you're all like, if you bring Stoops back, in a lot of ways, you are committing to him for 2 years. And I pointed this out on KS Board. You should be there already. We're going to keep covering it. Things we're hearing, what developments, all that. But like, you're really kind of committing to him for 2 years. So can you do that? That's going to be interesting to see. Like Mitch Barnhart, are you going to, because the buyout, you're going to be on the hook for something.
Well,
say if they go 4-8, 5-7 next year, you're going to be on the hook for all that staff money.
Yeah.
Then the criticism is going to come on. Why did you kick the can down the road here?
Right. Because if you renew the staff contracts, you might be saving $9 million off of Stoops, but you're really only saving maybe like $4 million because you're going to have to spend $5 million in assistant coaching contracts if you have to buy them out the following year. So it's and Peak pointed out in the chat too, like how many other coordinators or whoever it may be will be wanting to take a job, or they know that the temperature is toasty on Stoops' seat. It's real too.
Oklahoma State just did this. Florida State did something similar.
Didn't work.
The Oklahoma State thing was a disaster.
Yep.
And the Florida State thing is not trending well.
At least in Oklahoma State's case, they also attached a negotiated buyout to Gundy's contract.
Right. Well, that would be
the other part. Can you get Stoops' buyout down? Right.
Yeah. And like, if you did something like that, would he make concessions? Like, would that be the way where you could build a front office structure like you were talking about? My opinion on all that is all that is great and dandy, but the head coach has got to listen to him. Like, if they're not going to listen to him, it's a waste of damn money, right?
Yeah.
So, like, they all need to be on the same page, whatever they do. So, like, I think it's smart to do that. And they have a recruiting staff right now. I don't want to pretend like they don't. They have a personnel staff. I think, doing something like that where you could maybe bolster it, you could bring someone out of
beef it up. Yeah.
Well, and you would take some personnel decisions, I think, away from the staff, so they didn't have to make all of them. A lot of these portal ones, they're making like
convenient ones. Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's would they be, will Mitch want to do that? I don't know. Like, a lot of this, Nick, is getting inside his head.
Right.
Good effing luck with all of this. And I saw a lot of people like reacting to the hug thing. I don't think it means anything.
Oh, same thing with Kelly Craft being there. Like, this is what they do. This is like, you go to watch a road game. Mitch Barnhart's at every game. He's celebrating with Stoops after every one. The Crafts are at a lot of those road games, right? They hadn't been to Auburn in 15 years, and they probably weren't there the last time. Yeah, they're going to go. And they're like, well, look at the interview she did with Larry Vaughn. It's like, yeah, these are a politician's answers. Like, I don't.
And she also, in that interview, she also said, we have slipped.
Yeah.
And she said the quiet part out loud.
So
that everyone's talking about in the fan base, which is why everyone's frustrated and upset. And also, it's just how the situation goes. What is a hug really different than a handshake? Should he not do anything? Should he just sit there and?
I mean, what was it a couple weeks ago? It was the Texas game when Mitch was like pointing at some dude in a crowd. Like, Mitch gets into these games. My guy TJ sat next to him at one of the basketball games last year. Like, Mitch stands up in the tunnel, and TJ's seats were right there, and he's like, dude, Mitch is actually like, he gained more respect for Mitch because of how locked in he is into the games. He's an intense guy who was celebrating with his coach after that. So that's nothing, I think, to read too deep into. However, to get back to the original subject at hand, is that I think our overall point is that we can talk about the possibility of 6-6 and getting to a bowl game, and it would be a remarkable coaching job. The thing is that's only half of the equation, right? Like, there's still a lot of other stuff that has to be done to make sure that you're not putting chewing gum over each hole in the Hoover Dam every single year, because it's unsustainable. And that's another part of this equation, and that's what makes this so much fun. So much reason why you need to be on KS board. Is like, going 6-6 also puts the possibility of him getting hired by somebody else on the table as well.
Yeah.
And it's an easier out. So when they did the deal, the most recent deal, it was $2 million a year penalty if he left for another school, and it reduced by $500,000 after each season. So 22, 23, 24. I mean, it would be nothing, right? Like, Kentucky wouldn't get anything out of it, but they wouldn't be on the hook for that buyout anymore. So he could just go wherever.
The concern with that, Nick, let's just say it. He goes 6-6.
Yes.
Say the Scott Satterfield thing happens.
Okay.
Like, the season's over. It's like a couple days after the season's over.
Yep.
And just out of nowhere, it's like what was that, a Sunday night, a Monday night?
It was Sunday, yeah.
It was reported the next day. The concern with that would be, like, Summerall would be wrapped up at that point. He would already have a job.
Something to consider.
You're late to market, right? You're late to the party. And so what are your candidates if that's the concern with that?
Yes.
But there's also, like, you don't want to take on the debt, the $37 million deficit, if you don't have to.
Correct.
A lot of this comes down to, like,
timing, luck.
Well, it's just
Mitch Barnhart.
It's just the contract. All of this comes down to the contract, and, like, because there's a case to be made. Like, if you think Summerall is the guy, and you think you have a realistic chance at getting him, you have to get in there before
Auburn pulls the trigger.
Gets pulled away. Right.
Yeah.
Now, who's to say Auburn even will?
Right. We don't know that. And
but you're making it's a risk. Kentucky, like if that is, and that's what I think that logical. I think he would be the top candidate. That's a risk you're taking if you're sitting here, and if the plan, I don't even know if the plan is, or if you're sitting here and thinking, well, Stoops could go 6-6, he could get another job. Like that's if you think that if that's your plan, you probably need to separate, but like you can't afford to separate because of it all comes back to the contract. It really does. It all comes back to that contract. They are pigeonholed because they can't, because of it, because they don't want to, rightfully so, because they don't want to go to the Mr. Wildcat and ask him and Scratch to write the $37 million check in the cat house, wherever it is on campus.
What if we had just like one of the little cat cities?
Yeah, I just think of like Harry Potter, when they're in the bank and they go on the ride, like underneath campus, like that's where Wildcat and Scratch live. They're just hanging out down there, and they've got like the little things they can claw on and climb on, and they've got a closet full of big ass blank checks that they can write for whenever the university needs something. They're the gatekeepers.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, it's funny to think of that. Okay. To the on-field stuff, though. All right, Matt loves to play percentage chance. So we have 1 month left in the season, 4 games. Florida at home, undefeated FCS Tennessee Tech, at Vandy, at Louisville. Percentage chance, Kentucky wins 3 of those 4.
They're a dog. They're probably a 1-possession dog against Louisville.
Yep.
Probably a 2-possession dog against Vanderbilt.
Yep.
They're what I would consider a pick 'em against Florida, and they'll be like a 2-possession favorite.
Yeah.
2 to 3 possession favorite against Tennessee Tech. 20? Does 20 sound high?
No,
6,
I mean,
are you saying 6 or 1?
To win 3 of the next 4. Yeah. I was
20 to 25.
I was going to be like 15 to 20.
Yeah, 25 would probably be
because in a vacuum, right? Like that's my thing. Like in a vacuum, I've been watching more Miller Moss than I care to. That team is beatable. It's very beatable in a vacuum. Stoops gets like at least 2 of those games. Stoops gets his guys up for. He gets them up typically for the Florida game, and he gets them up typically for the Louisville game. And those are both flawed teams that can play the way you want to play. Conversely, FCS opponents, Kentucky's came out flat against a lot of them. This is a different kind of one of those. What does that look like? It's going to be a challenge. You're probably going to have to score some points. I mean, they're averaging like 60 a game or something unreal. So they're probably going to find a way to score against you. And then you go to Vandy, where there's another one where the style isn't that bad, but for me, it's more of just like, all right, I can talk myself into them winning every single one of these games as a one-off. But having to stack up 3 out of 4 when haven't seen a whole lot of wins in the last year, that's the part that just makes it difficult to foresee. Now, would I enjoy it? Hell yeah. Like, sign me up for Christmas night in Birmingham, right? Like, we're going to play some Topgolf.
Oh yeah,
eat some white barbecue sauce. Go
Check out
to Beale Street, Liberty Bowl.
Get to see Trent Dilfer's old house. Protect the stadium.
That stadium looks awesome too from the highway. Yeah. It looks incredible. So that's at least my explanation for it. Is like I do think that it is more than plausible, but it is very much only plausible in a week to week because when you say it out loud. Kentucky wins 4 out of its last 5 games. That sounds like insanity. It just does. Especially when – here's another point that you've made. I don't know, publicly, privately, whatever it may be, where, Cutter Bowley's got to go do it on the road in one of those. And he's looked less than –
that's the box he hasn't checked yet. Yeah.
Yeah, he's looked less than stellar in those. Now, Stoops commended him, said, you're going to have to win ugly sometimes, but like you really can't win ugly against those two teams at the end of the year. They're top 25 football teams.
Well, just you're going to have to score 3 offensive touchdowns to win both of those games.
Yeah.
You're going to have to get to 24 to 28 to really have like a real chance to win either of those. So can you get there? I think this is a good test. Like, can you get there against this Florida defense, or do you just need to play the worst defense in the SEC to get there?
Yeah. But hey, back-to-back weeks, they've been snapping streaks. You beat an SEC team, scored 34 points.
That's why you feel like that's also rather part of the reason why you feel like they're going to win Saturdays, because they are like, quietly knocking things down. And then the thing is, Nick, like you get some momentum. You don't, 3 wins in a row. Teams believe in, like you mentioned, David Gustav, just like the mentality over there. It just felt like a weight's lifted off their shoulders. Playing with house money a little bit. You go to let's say Vanderbilt loses this weekend. They're out of the playoff. You get them in their first game since they've been eliminated.
Yeah.
You get Vanderbilt off a bye week. How are they off a bye this late in the year?
Yep.
Like, there's a lot of, and if you're playing with a lot of confidence.
Well, it goes back to how you started the show, or at least after I came in hot, about how quickly things change in this sport. I know people don't like to hear about glory days, but like I was ready to quit playing football as a high school sophomore, like it, because we lost our first 3 games of the season. I was getting my ass kicked by the best players on the team every day in practice. And it's just like, well, are we ever going to win a football game? Like, this is miserable. This is hell. I don't want to do this. And then I think we won some games, but I think we ended the season winning 3 in a row. And then we won 3 more in a row and are in the Final Four of the state playoffs for the first time, or, like only maybe the 4th time in school history, maybe. Like, the power of that going on a run, isn't that what my quarterback said when Aaron Rodgers was at Green Bay? What was it like?
I'm going to ayahuasca.
No, he was like, just got to win out. It's time to go on a run. Got to go on a run. Time for Kentucky to go on a run. Gosh, all right. Here's the other, like the one potential outcome we didn't talk about is just, what if they just won out? Because here's the other part too that we haven't mentioned. Like in all of Stoops' seasons, that's kind of what they've done, where you're like, oh well, hell, they're a 6-6 team, and then boom, 27-point underdogs beat Louisville 7-5. Like, where in the hell did that come from? Same thing in the 23 season, where they're big dogs against that ACC championship Louisville team. Like, I don't know, they're 6-6 year. Holy crap, they're in the Gator Bowl, right? Like, we could be going and staying with Florida Doug down in Jacksonville again.
Well, then we could actually play some real golf if we go down there. Yeah, again, back to the college football conversation. Like, you can get on runs, and they're riding the momentum. They got a young quarterback.
Yep.
He's getting better. Like there's a path here. Now, can they take advantage again?
Gateway
this is the spot. This is the spot where they've stubbed their toe.
Yes.
Here recently. Yes. So can they, in this Florida game, can they finally get over that? And where is, like, we talk about Barnhart's head, but where is Stoops' head in all of this? Like, he fought hard against the 9-game schedule.
Yep.
That is coming next year. How much does he want to deal with that?
Where are we going to again? Norman.
We go to Norman. We go to College Station. We go to Como. We go to the other Columbia, and we go to Rocky Top.
Real easy places to win.
So I wonder where his head's at with all of this. And then, like, there is a thought, specifically in the industry, you keep hearing from people like, this is going to get crazy, like absolutely nuts. It's going to. And there's going to be jobs that open that are domino effects because of that. And then
there's the portal movement from all of those teams in the free agency chaos.
And there's also an expectation of like there's going to be some hires that are I don't know how else, but like recycled hires, like guys
like the NFL
that wouldn't get a job normally, but just because of the cycle. And I think Stoops could fit into that to maybe get one of these power conference jobs, and it would help him if they had a winning season, or at least they went to a bowl game, because then you can really you can sell like the 1 year blip, and then you can be like, look at all these offensive coordinators I've had. I've won at Kentucky, hard place, winningest coach ever. You could he becomes a more attractive candidate, I think. Once the pool starts getting thinned out a little bit.
It's fascinating to see.
But this is why, it's hard to – this stuff is fascinating. It's addicting, but it's hard to
it's hard to handicap right now.
Right. It's just hard to you're living and dying with it every day. It's just hard right now. They're going to play on game on Saturday. This program needs to win that game on Saturday. I don't care what, in my opinion, that streak needs to end. They need to end that now. It has to end. That does not need to be hovering over this program's head. It just has to end. To me, that was the biggest thing they had to do this year. You had to end that home losing streak. And this is the last chance. They need to end it. And so in that, and then see where we're at after the Tennessee Tech game. But the win at Auburn, though, Nick, I think there was a pretty good chance that maybe there was an in-season separation. If you lose to Auburn, you lose to Florida.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It felt inevitable.
But now I think that's off the table. And so I think he's going to be able to coach the rest of the season and see what you can do with it. But I don't think them winning at Florida is going to I don't think they're going to go 5-5 and Mitch is going to come out Vanderbilt week and say Stoops is staying. I would be very surprised if that happened.
Yeah. The part that, to your point you made earlier, that is a little surprising is there's a lot of options to get in there this weekend. It's going to be a little brisk, but Kentucky has a chance to snap its SEC home losing skid, and you can get in there for $30. $30 with our friends at Game Time, the best ticketing app on the market. Whether you're sitting in the upper deck or even down in the lower bowl in the end zone, you got to watch the game from the end zone last week at Auburn, Luckett. That's a fun vantage point. That's what's great about the Game Time app is you can click at each individual seat, see what the view looks like. I mean, you can get very low in that section 17 for only $52. And the other part, too, when you use promo code ON3, you're going to get $20 off your first purchase. That's promo code ON3. Terms apply, but $20 off your first purchase at Game Time, the most convenient way to get last-minute tickets and deals. I got a feeling as we get closer to kickoff that you're going to see even better deals, these flash deals, these zone deals on Game Time. So download the Game Time app today. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download it. Make sure you've got the best seats in the house by getting in with Game Time. UK might not be promoting it like it, but by God, we're going to promote it. Get in there. It's going to be fun. It'll be a little chilly, a little football weather. And I was it 20? It was the Anthony Richardson game. So 22 was my
down
dad.
There?
Yeah, down there.
Yeah.
My dad went down there with us, and he didn't even he bought a solo ticket. My brother was like the only tickets they could get were separate, and he didn't care, man. He's like, it's always great to watch us beat that team. So
we were firing off some Gus Malzahn jokes on that Friday night. That was Scott Satterfield jokes turned into Gus Malzahn jokes because they couldn't figure out how to move the ball against Louisville. That was a good time.
Oh man. Absolutely love it. Love beating those bad guys. Hopefully they beat it this Saturday. Lucky, what's the lucky number?
Well, you go ahead.
I was just going to ask you the magic number. How many points Kentucky's got to score to win? I don't think they can get away with just 10 again.
Oh, I think they could win this game 14-13. 100%. If they get to 17, I think you're sitting.
That's all she wrote.
I think it's a race to 17. Like if Kentucky scores 3 offensive touchdowns, Nick, we might, play Dumas Walker in the fourth quarter. People be having a good time. That's where I think this game is headed. But the crowd, I'm interested to see this crowd.
Yeah.
Cold. This is when the fan base typically kind of drops off a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
I think the win was really good for the program, people in it. And I think a lot of people got excited, but I think overall it didn't do much for the.
Yeah. It was almost because it was also a 10-3 win too. I mean, you won it.
It was part of that's why I said they did it their way. That's part of the problem because people they don't want to see that anymore. But that's, but I because if I'm just interested if the stadium's 65 to 70% full. I'm just throwing a number out there. It almost speaks as loud as a half empty stadium to me because it's like.
Even when things are going well,
these games, you have to capitalize on them. All revenue counts. You need as much revenue as you can. And you can't have 4 SEC home games against big name opponents.
Mm-hmm.
You played Lane Kiffin. You played Texas with a Manning, Tennessee, and the Gators. And none of them were sold out. That's just that can't happen.
And I know that, our friends have been mentioning that they were good crowds. I mean, not they were fine, but they weren't great. Ole Miss was close-ish to a sellout, but nothing else has come close to that. They remind me of 2016.
The only game where the other fan base didn't take over didn't have a huge chunk in that stadium.
It reminds me of the 2016 early Stoops when. They weren't good crowds, but they were loud and they were happy to be there. It's kind of what those reminded me of. Whereas over the last, really since 2018, they've been able to roll out of the bed in October and sell out the stadium. I mean, they sold out of season tickets multiple times, and that's what you need. I never I know that November night games things are going to tail off some. That's just how this fan base is. I'm not going to be a Louisville fan and blame it on Pee Wee football games or something is the reason why people aren't showing up. I know how Kentucky fans are, but to your point, it has to be better than just good. They can't leave dollars and cents out there on the table because then it's the cycle. It's going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, you can't. These games need to be sold out, and you don't even it's not like the stadium. The stadium's not too big.
Yeah, one of the smallest.
It's not hard. I don't think it's hard to get these games sold out against these SEC teams. Now, next week's a different animal when you talk about the Tennessee FCS game in November. But the weather, this is going to be this is good weather to go watch a football game. It's not it's chilly, but it's not.
Oh, you're fired up. You want to go out and stand out in the stands.
Yeah, I wish we had an outside press box. I'd be out there. But I just think. When you start writing some of the issues out on paper,
it feels a lot worse.
It just seems like this is the end. Even if they go 6-6, 7, it makes sense to just. I think it makes sense for Stoops even to just we've had a great run. It's time. Now, whether that can happen or not because of the contract is a different situation. But it does feel like we're at the end of the road here to me.
I know that'll be music to some people's ears. I love the sort of snip-snap back and forth of emotions that people play, the games they play internally where any little update on the board or just anything, right? It's a very manic fan base right now. So it depends on which day the wind is blowing about how fired up or lack thereof that people are. Or mad or angry or whatever it may be. But I'll be fired up if Kentucky beats Florida. It would be nice to get a quality Seth McGowan game to alleviate some pressure from Cutter Boley in this passing attack. I know they've been good at home, but as good as McGowan was early on, that's tailed off quite a bit. Auburn took away the passing game to the running backs too, and that was something we had seen back-to-back weeks. So, making sure the running back position is a plus for Kentucky. I think it's huge in this game. And I think the other part is the other side of the ball. I think they'll do a pretty good job against Ball in the traditional run game. DJ Lagway is, to me, just a weird athlete because he's one of those who looks like he kind of lumbers, but like when he gets going, he really gets rolling.
Why is DJ Lagway 250 pounds? Why is he playing at 250 pounds?
Yeah, he needs to be.
No one talks about that. Why? Why is he this big?
He should be 235 tops.
230. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, why is he playing at the weight he's playing at? That don't.
He couldn't practice, so he just got fat.
I don't understand why he's playing at that weight. It doesn't make much sense to me.
That there was the one long run he had against Georgia. He looked like he was moving in slow motion, and you're just why can't they get to that guy? Lagway's just a fascinating character to me, and ultimately I think he's going to go down as a big what if because there's a ton of talent there, and it just the pieces got to be put together. Hopefully it doesn't happen against Kentucky like it did a year ago.
I do want to say this about Florida. Like, they're having a disappointing season. They are very much kind of a 5-7 football team. That's just a team you got to beat.
Yeah.
You know, you just got to win.
Go beat them. Do it. Go rip it. Like it's about time we get out of here. We will have Pigskin preview tomorrow. I'm going to be handicapping some games tonight and tomorrow morning. Very much looking forward to it. Shout out to Mississippi State Moneyline, though, last week. That was a nice little plus 170 that got home. So
yeah, that was a wild game. Mississippi State pulled that one out of their magic hat. I kind of like them again this weekend.
Yeah, no, I do too. It's a lot of points, and Georgia's
got a huge game next week,
and they just play close with everybody. Man, they're playing with fire this year.
Yeah, they're not good as a favorite or big favorite. Long story short, one thing I do want to stress is just like this is going to be a ride. Like everyone needs to buckle in. Like this is going to be a ride. So, and it's not just for this month. It's going to be December. And then when we get in the portal in January, no matter who the coach is, it's going to be a ride here. So just buckle in. We'll keep you up to speed and covered, but you need to be on the board. Like I think I've stressed this a few times. Everything that goes down really has to go down on the board first. So if you're on the board, you're getting the first. Yeah. You're getting the first hit of it.
First crack at it. You'll know, you'll be prepared for what's about to come. Want to end the show on a little bit of a more solemn note, Mr. Luckett, because we had a pretty rough day in our hometown yesterday. Our state in general has had a rough go of it the last 5-6 years, whatever it may be. And you always hurt for people when you see your fellow Kentuckian have their home taken away by a tornado in Western Kentucky or flooded and swept down the holler in Eastern Kentucky. It always is just going to hit different when it's right near you, right? It's about a mile away from where I live. I know your cousin is right there next to the airport too. Yeah. Like that. You see that smoke around the city, and it's just the dread, the gloom that it fills you with. It's terrible. It's tragic. And, I wrote about it, but I did want to just take another opportunity just to like say, hey, the people who run towards danger when awful things happen, like more power to you, right? Whether it's a firefighter, whether it's a police officer contained in the scene, whether it's an ER nurse or doctor who's dealing with trauma, they're dealing with the trauma of it all too. And it's not only them, it's the people who were live on the local TV stations for 6 straight hours covering it all. They got to go home from work and unwind somehow too after all that. And that is an emotional heavy weight. A lot of those people are talking to people who are emotionally distressed and distraught and are trying to help them through the situation. Like, this stuff has crazy ripple effects, and it was a hard day, and I thank all the people who did what they could to help during that trying time, because it sucked, man. It sucked, and it's not a day I don't think either you or I will soon forget.
Yeah, it was pretty wild, but well said. We'll get through it together.
Yeah. Prayers up to everybody, and Godspeed. Safe travels wherever you're going in the near or not so distant future. Whether you're going to come to Kroger Field and watch the Cats, whether you're going to see your family in the upcoming holiday season, we're happy that you join us for this ride. It's going to be a wild one to end this Kentucky football season. We'll be right here with you every single step of the way. For Adam Luckett, I'm Nick Roush. Go Cats and go Kroger.